We have more PhDs per capita than any other city in Mississippi. But the community has embraced us and what we're doing workforce development. They love the opportunities that we give kids, and they've embraced it. Most of them, I think, just want the kids to leave home and be productive. And I think the mindset here is that, college is not for everybody. Our community has embraced the fact that we're providing our students with opportunities. They love it.
All right, everyone, buckle up for today's episode of Change Starts Here. It's a good one. I'm your host, Dustin Odham, and I get to sit down with a gentleman that I've had the pleasure of talking with several times before, and he's a leader who's making waves in Mississippi education. His name's Dr. Toriano Holloway. He makes you so comfortable that you start forgetting he's a doctor and start calling him Tori right away, and I believe at this point that's what he likes. He prefers that, I'm sure. But Dr. Holloway is a superintendent of the Vicksburg Warren School District. And let me tell you, he's not just your typical school leader. As I said, he makes you feel so warm and seen and known within seconds of knowing him. So you forget to stop. You start calling him Dr. Holloway, and you start calling him Tori every 5 seconds. So this is my apology to him on the front end of this. He's done it all. He's been a teacher, coach, principal, district leader, you name it. He's got over 25 years experience and a passion for making sure kids aren't just passing tests, but they're preparing for life. What makes him so fun to talk with is he's got a big vision for students, especially when it comes to leadership and future readiness. He's a huge believer in the Leader in Me framework and the Academy model, which with both of those, he's turning into real opportunities for students in Vicksburg. In this episode, we're diving into what drives him personally, how he's shifting the way schools think about student success, and why career and technical education are a game changer today. Plus, we'll hear some of his great stories about students who thrive under his leadership. So whether you're an educator, a leader, or just someone who loves a good success story, you're going to love this conversation. Let's get started. To say I'm excited for our paths to cross again would be an understatement. I think both of us were looking at each other. At least I knew, because again, it's unfair. Your job is being everywhere. Everybody needs some time with you. Whereas for me, I'm like, oh, there's my guy, Mississippi. Let's go. So, Dr. Life here, whenever, this could be a month from now when this thing gets released. But right now, as I explained to you, my life is a snow day. It's been a perpetual snow day since the new year. It feels like here we have kids in the house. We have people working on the house. It feels crazy. But with all of that, was so excited to reconnect with you because it's been about 3 or 4 years. So thank you so much for making time to be here with us today.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And your life sounds like being a superintendent right now. So welcome to the job.
Oh, man, I appreciate it. I think I told you this a long time ago. It's my favorite thing to share. But one of my mentors, a gentleman named Dr. Kelvin Adams, just an awesome, awesome man who ran St. Louis Public Schools for 14 years. He said there was a time where, and especially during COVID, where every day he woke up, it felt like he was making the worst decision of his career, right? So somebody was telling him it was the worst decision. I'm not sure if that resonates with you, but that's something that since COVID, I feel like we talk about every now and then.
Yes, it is. And every decision, we just cut the ribbon on 8 electric school buses, and you would think I committed the ultimate sin because we purchased 8 electric school buses.
Yeah, you hate that. Well,
Yes.
so I got comfortable with you real quickly when we last talked. I kept calling you Tori. So I'm going to call you Dr.
Yeah,
Holloway as
please.
long as I can. I know you don't care. I know it's not a big deal for you, but you did earn it. So we're going to try to respect it as best as possible. So Dr. Holloway, you've dedicated 27 years, maybe more, I don't know, to public education, serving as a teacher, a principal, and now a superintendent of a pretty large district. And you've been a superintendent of other districts. What initially drew you to education and what continues to drive you here today?
I always knew it'd either be education or something in the medical field. The summer after my senior year, I worked a summer camp, and I saw the impact that I had on those kids, and it just kind of resonated with me. I actually went, Dustin, they got into nursing school for 2 hours. Probably had the shortest stint ever in
2
nursing
hours.
school. So after 2 hours in nursing school, I figured out real quick that my calling was kids, and it's what gets me up every day. It's what makes the headaches worth it when you see kids when you establish a vision and a mission and you make things happen and you see kids benefit from it, there's just no greater feeling than that. It makes up for all the headaches, heartaches, and all of it. The stress is completely worth it.
Mm. So, I mean, uh, you've led multiple districts now, right? Is that fair to say? I mean, I know you've
Yeah,
worked in multiple districts. The last time
yeah,
we talked, you were at Quitman, but it's been a couple of years. It's been, I think, 4 or 5 years since we talked. This is crazy. It feels like yesterday, which is
yeah.
crazy where time is right now. So you've led multiple districts, taken on new
Yes, sir.
leadership challenges, and every district is brings something unique. So tell me, what excites you the most about leading Vicksburg Warren School District right now?
This district was truly aligned with what I think education should be. They would deepen the leader in me process. We do a lot around workforce development. We're an innovative district who wants to try different things and do different things. So the fact that they were aligned with what I think education should be made the transition easy for me. We believe our kids are more than a test score. And test scores are important, they have their place. But I learned this, I heard it at a symposium a long time ago, that school should do life and school at the same time. And we do that here and we do it pretty well. So just being here with like-minded people and a like-minded community it's been great.
Yeah, we've talked, and obviously we won't air. Both of us have worked in districts where we've had some fun challenges with just the outside politics and outside noise. I'll just leave it there. What are things that you do? And obviously, it's just sounds awesome that you're in a place that feels fully aligned. But that's sometimes it feels almost like an impossibility with some superintendent roles. So in your journey, what have you learned along the way to help you focus or stay focused on the job when that outside noise is really heating up?
I try and take everything back to the kids and the people that I work for. Because my frame of thought is different. You'll hear people say, I have 1,000 employees and I have 7,000 kids. No, I work for 7,000 kids and I work for 1,000 employees. So I value our people, I value our kids, and that paradigm shift, that mindset helps you deal with the stresses of the job, because you remember your why. You remember why you get up every morning. You have a purpose to make decisions around, and as long as those decisions are rooted in that purpose, some of the blowback and some of the things that we get from that outside noise, I just try and stay focused on the people and the kids.
That's awesome. Obviously this is part of my main part of my job where I'm interviewing a lot of really talented people like yourself who are leading districts. I've heard two quotes now, and I'm gonna give you the second one. The first one um, was a superintendent who talked about how he sees himself as the chief recruiter for the school district, right? Which I think was awesome, especially in today's time where you know that we got to find teachers and the best teachers. And
Yes.
you are the first person I've heard. So I love that mentality. And I love your mentality of, like you said, every superintendent. And even when I was working with, 25 schools in inner city St. Louis, I could tell you the number of students and the number of FTEs. And you combined it, which I love, which is about the students. So with that, I mean, that's the things, this is what happens with you. You have you've, worked entire career in education, you
Mhm.
have a doctorate, but as soon as anybody talks to you, it feels like they've known you forever. And so, in that leadership style, before I get into my deeper question about student leadership,
Uh-huh.
how has that helped you and how has that hurt you sometimes, right? Because as you come into a high school principal, come into a superintendent, like to me, it is a massive blessing,
Yes.
but I assume it's something that's helped you sometimes and hurt you others. And so what have you learned and how do you just continue to be yourself? Because you haven't changed. Like, I mean, the joy just comes out within 2 seconds. So clearly you're doing something right.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Again, um, it's helped me because I've been able to inspire a lot of people and kids throughout the state. I'm one of the few superintendents in Mississippi. I worked in the northern part of the state, the southern part of the state, the east, the west, and in the middle. So it's my personality, my leadership has allowed me to influence a lot of people. Now it's a gift and a curse, because sometime when you're as open as I am, you can open yourself up to people that take advantage of it. And then when you have to address it, then it becomes about me. So it's been good. It's been more good than bad. And I keep a drawer full of the cards and notes and things that people have given me. So when people use that personality against me, I just go back to all the lives that I touch. And um, Evan Carmichael has a book called Your One Word, and my one word is inspire. So I live every day. My mission statement is about inspire. Everything, my whole leadership framework is about inspire. So I live every day to inspire people, and I've been blessed with this personality, so I use it. And when people take advantage of it, I don't let that change me. And it's been hard. I've been in some tough situations,
I think
and
we talked about it before. So that's what I'm
yes,
saying.
we
I
did.
know,
Yeah,
man.
I remember. Yes.
I feel for you.
Yes. So
So
I just, I try and stay focused on people and kids.
the two things I walked away from, one is just your warmth, just your personality is something that I think everybody hits. But secondly, you had this. Well, again, this is 5 years ago, 4 years ago, as we talked. This mission for student voice and for helping students find their voice, their genius, and so it's been something that you've been doing, right? And now I know you're doing it deeply there in Vicksburg Warren. So tell me, what does that look like in action for you in your district right now?
So we started a student superintendent advisory council here, where the kids, we meet with kids 3 times a year and get their voice. Um, and we ask them different questions, and we take that a step further. At our convocation every year, the kids stand in front of the adults and say, "Hey, here is what we want our schools to be. Here's the type of instruction we want. Here's the relationships." So it's always been about student voice for me. Even we have 4 exit strategies that kids exit our schools. We want them to enroll in a 2 or 4 year university, become entrepreneurs, enlist in the military, or go straight to employment. And all of that is about helping students find their voice. I think the Japanese call it ikigai, where you find your mission, your purpose, what
Yes.
you're good at. You're familiar with ikigai, so yeah.
I just heard of it recently, actually. As I was coming into this year, I had a couple of good friends point me in that direction, and I just think it's awesome. Again, I'm about 2 months into studying it, so I don't know anything deeply. But the fact that you guys are thinking about that in your school is pretty awesome.
Yes. And when I meet kids, when I got here, every kid knows when they see me, the first question I'm going to ask them is, what makes you great? Every kid has something about them that makes them great. And if they don't know, I tell them, I'm going to come back. When I see you again, I want you to be able to tell me what makes you great, because everybody has something that makes them great.
Well, and I love that, but I used to teach trigonometry, right? So there are
Mhm.
times, and there are kids that pop up on Facebook. I'll never get rid of social media just because students pop up out of the woodwork who I thought hated me back then. And you and I have a similar personality, so like I don't think I did anything other than teach their least favorite subject, which was trigonometry. But my goal all the time was, even if you were failing my class, that you saw your worth and potential so that you were ready to go impact the world, right? Because we started off every year, the lesson is, you may never need trigonometry again unless it's for another class. The whole point is about decision making, all those. So it sounds cool and great, but in a classroom, I could kind of control that feeling. These students who pop up saying, "Hey, you made a difference," and I'm thinking, I failed you because you failed my class. In the ecosystem of your school district, or particularly a comprehensive high school, at your superintendent level, where you have a kid who may be failing, may actually be, living in multiple places, moving night to night, and working and taking care of like their younger siblings, and so not being able to focus. What resources, what systems do you guys have in place, or are you trying to put in place so that those students can also come back and answer confidently, "Here's what makes me great"?
Through our college and career academies that we have here, kids explore different career paths. They find out what they're good at. Um, they develop, they go through mock interviews. And we have our Leader in Me, our career software that we use, career counseling software that we use. Leader in Me, everything that we do, our portrait of a graduate is aligned from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. So students are getting their academics along with those life skills, having conversations about what they enjoy, what are they good at, personality tests, career counseling things through that software. They get that beginning in 4th grade on the career counseling side, but everything else they get from pre-K all the way through high school. So by then, we hope they find their voice. We also offer some opportunities at night for kids who have to do stuff during the day. Who say, okay, you can, we have kids taking dual enrollment and they get paid $10 an hour at night to take dual enrollment courses if they have issues during the day. We have online software that we use to work around kids because, these kids nowadays deal with more than we did when you and I were younger. So we want to exhaust every avenue before a kid says, hey, I just can't do this anymore. So, we have kids who get up at 7:00 in the morning to come get their HVAC certification, and we pay the Regional Transit Authority. The best check I write every month, we write as a district, is the $3,000 to go get those kids, to get them there at 7:00 in the morning to get their HVAC certification.
That's awesome. It's funny you highlighted the HVAC. So I've been thinking, part of my job is I'm traveling a lot right now. I mean, literally, my wife was just reminding me, I was in Minneapolis one week, Orlando the next, Palm Springs, California for a superintendent's conference the next, and then South Florida again for the next. So it's like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But I'm getting to talk to really interesting people and find out what their challenges are. And I would say, and this just may be my experience, so feel free to disagree with me, but it felt like with the No Child Left Behind, back when I was leading the turnaround schools in St. Louis Public, the SIG grants and the Race to the Top, it felt like to me that CTE was kind of pushed to the background. It was like, great grades, got to go to college. Great grades, got to go to college. Again, I am not like, the way I always looked at it for my kids, I want them to have the choice to be able to choose college, right? Because a lot of my students weren't having the opportunity to choose it because they weren't adequately prepared. But saying that's the only way is crazy. So I do feel, again, this is where you can disagree with me, that CTE is having a resurgence of sort, and it's playing an increasingly important role in preparing students for the workforce. So what have you seen other than that great HVAC example? And what are you guys doing in your district that's unique or inspiring for you?
Yeah, so we CTE is big in our district. Kids at the high school either going to a career academy or CTE, because again, everything that we do is about preparing kids for life after school. And we have it's probably over 2,000 high school students between our 3 high schools, maybe close to 3,000, and they all choose one of 2 paths. So, and we help them find their voice through those 2 paths. See, we have 16 CTE programs. Our kids get dual enrollment for 15 of the 16. And we pay for them to take night classes. We start an advanced manufacturing class so they can go to, we have an innovation center here in downtown Vicksburg. They can go there after school. And if they go, we'll pay their way for them to go and add on. We drive kids from one high school to another one. That's just how important CTE is. Our career academy is important. We have a biomedical class that we're moving from our high schools to the hospital. And one of the things that made that possible, Dustin, I love bragging on our kids. We had 6 young ladies go and interview for 3 intern positions at our hospital. Well, they were so impressed by our kids that they took all 6. So when it's time to do stuff like move our biomedical class, then they jump on board and they say, hey, you all can have the whole floor. So the top floor at the hospital, they've given to the Vicksburg Warren School District. So, and that, I think that goes back to, we start off every day, every child in the district for the first 10 minutes a day opens with a Leader in Me lesson. So, I hadn't had to fire anybody because they couldn't do trigonometry, but because they couldn't put first things first. We've had to have some discussion. So all of that plays into what our kids do and how successful they are.
It's funny you say it that way. I again, teaching trigonometry was a blast. It was something I actually stumbled into. You'll appreciate this story. It's not one I tell often, but first day of school, I was one of just a few white teachers in my school in St. Louis, and my dad and my mom both taught me just to say yes, sir. Whatever they need you, just say yes, sir. You are there to serve. You are there not to be served, right? And I said, okay. So I'm in there and I hear the roll call, and they'd already called my name, and they say, I'm going to make up a name, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson. Nobody answers. Again, it's my first day on the job. Mr. Johnson. I'm looking around like, it's the first day of work. Like, how does it, where's Mr. Johnson? How does this happen? Someone raised their hand. Oh, I think Mr. Johnson retired this summer. They going to tell anybody? Nah, he was going to like make sure he got his days in and then like let people know in the middle of the year so he won't be there. And that was literally how we found out Mr. Johnson wasn't going to, I mean, I guess not Mr. Johnson. So then I'll never forget this. Mr. Brown goes, Mr. Odham. It's like, yes, sir. You'll be teaching trigonometry. And I am thinking, oh my God, that was the only class I got a C in high school. What am I doing? And that C was like gracious. Like one of my best friends from childhood, Ellen Hunter, who went to Brown University and Penn for business, like brilliant mind, is the
Yeah.
only reason I got through that. And now she's not here and I have to teach it. It was just one of those like, oh crap moments. So for me, it was real when I said, guys, you'll never get fired, something along those lines. Like your life success will not be determined by this course, but it is about the habits and disciplines and strategic thinking that you can build throughout it, but it has nothing to do with trigonometry. And so it's refreshing to hear someone in your seat say that. I am curious. It sounds like you guys, it may not even have the problem that I'm going to portray as a potential one. So going from this world of it's college or bust, right? There has been that I'm sensing with some of my students that I know that there's a little bit of a stigma around CTE versus a traditional college pathway. And maybe it's getting fixed, right? That's what I say, that I'm sensing that people finally understand that like one is not greater than the other. It is how we're going to go serve each other and go build something here. One, do you struggle with that challenge? And two, if you do, how have you guys helped shift that narrative so students and parents are more excited about it? And if it's not, what can we learn from how you guys make it exciting? Because it's not a problem where you are.
Gotcha. Well, it's not that much of a problem for us. We have we have a 4 exit strategy signing day where kids sign which exit strategy they're going to. Yes, sir. Oh yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So when you choose your exit strategy, you sign, and I'm going down this pathway. And what's surprising, Dustin, in Vicksburg, we have more PhDs per capita than any other city in Mississippi. But the community has embraced us and what we're doing workforce development. I mean, they love the fact that we're getting ready to open up a logistics pathway to where we prepare kids to get their CDLs when they walk out of Vicksburg Warren School District. The only thing they'll be lacking are the seat hours that you have to get, and then I think it costs about $4,000 or $5,000 to get your CDL, so you become a truck driver. So they love the opportunities that we give kids, and they've embraced it. Most of them, I think, just want the kids to leave home and be productive. And I think the mindset here is that, college is not for everybody. We have a lot of industry here where people can go and drive trucks or, work at the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and you don't have to be an engineer to get a good paying job there. There's some Continental Tire about 20 minutes from here. You don't have to have a degree. You can get our advanced manufacturing and go over there and make $25 an hour walking out of high school. Now, I don't think I would have been mature enough to handle that kind of money at 18 or 19, but we have kids who leave here and are pretty successful when they leave us. So our community has embraced the fact that we're providing our students with opportunities, and they love it.
All right. So what do we call it? The signing day. What's the name of the signing day?
4 exit strategy signing day.
for exit strategy sign-in day. I'm going to beg, borrow, and steal the heck out of it. And I will shout out your district and you every time I talk about it. That is awesome.
Yes,
So
sir.
looking ahead, what's your biggest priority for your school district over the next few years? Is there anything that's top of mind? Is there one particular project that is really lighting you up and the community up right now?
There's two. Number one, I want all of our schools in the district to be lighthouse schools. We have seven, seven right now. Five lighthouse and two legacy schools. And then the second part is I want all of our career academies to be national model status. We have five career academies. We have one that received national model status last year. We have one up for review this year. That's happening in Hawaii. In case you want to come and be a part of celebration, you come on to Hawaii. Yeah. So we're working to make sure those things are in place, and then probably I don't know if we'd expand CTE much more. I would like to add some cybersecurity because of all the infrastructure around here. That's a big deal, computer infrastructure. So there's some opportunities for our kids um, to take advantage of that career path.
Well, before I get focused on you and your wisdom and your leadership, I want to ask another question. As I travel a bunch, a common question that I'm starting to get more is, hey, Dustin, you're in a lot of districts and schools. What district's doing something really cool around leadership or student leadership, or who's really trying to live this out at a deep level? And Vicksburg has been one that's been on my radar for a long time, just out of like peeking over the fence. But now that knowing your heart, it's like just a perfect match in my eyes. As you make that recruit, so as somebody's listening out there thinking, I can move, pick up and go anywhere, I just want to do great work for kids. What's your sales pitch on why they need to come down to Vicksburg?
We are a B school district, and our graduation rate, my predecessor started, it was at 58%. Our graduation rate is 93%. We have no failing schools in the district. And a big portion of that is going Leader in Me district wide. Does it solve all your problems? No. Are we a perfect school district? No. But I would hate to see what we were without Leader in Me and what we do every day and our alignment with it and our focus on that in academics. I'd hate to see if we did not do that. I don't know how far along we would be from that 58% graduation rate 10 years ago to 93%. So that's my sales pitch. It makes a difference. And this is the fourth district that I've worked in, three others. And you were with me in Quitman. Uh, I was assistant superintendent in Starkville. I brought the process to Starkville. And if you look at they're a school district right now, and the foundation was laid with Leader in Me. Quitman, they are successful now. Quitman Junior High, they had been failing for probably 9 years. And they will tell you two things happened to turn that around. One of them was Leader in Me. I went to Simpson County and brought the process there with me. There were 3 failing schools there. There are no failing schools in Simpson County anymore. And they will tell you that a part of the process was implementing Leader in Me and having those paradigm shifts about communicating kids' worth and potential so loudly that they hear it. So I'm passionate about it. It started for me back in 1999 as a biology teacher. Every other week I taught a 7 habits, one of the 7 habits to my kids. It was a part of their portfolio. I found, yeah. I still run into kids who remember, hey, you remember you had us write our eulogy with habit 2? So it's the journey started for me a long time ago, and it's made a difference in the lives of a lot of kids.
That's awesome. We changed our training from the eulogy to your 80th birthday, so it could be a little bit more received. However, and it's not to be too somber, I really like the eulogy piece because you could be gone at any moment, and so it creates an urgency of I got to live differently now. That's really powerful, and so it's awesome when you have kids that are remembering that, right?
Yes.
So you've been, as you said, you've been all across the state of Mississippi. You've recently, I don't know how recently, but as my notes and research tells me, You've been elected at the Mississippi Association of School Superintendents Board of Directors. Is that right?
Mhm. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm just curious, what does that role mean to you? How do you hope to help shape the future of education in Missouri through that work and through the great board that you get to work with?
So one of my roles there is to be a representative for other superintendents on that board to ensure that we're providing them with the training that they need, mentorship, to advocate legislatively for public education. We've got a great team, so it allows me to go and advocate for not only our district, but other districts in this area and across the state. Um, and then we're hosting a regional leader and me visit with about 30 to 50 superintendents who are in that organization. So the opportunity for me to influence them with the things that we're doing, provide training and make sure the conferences that we go to are well attended and well put together is a big responsibility and one that I don't take lightly. And it's one of many boards I'm on. I'm also on AASA's national governing board. So I get to go to Washington, D.C. and kind of do the same thing with our representatives from here that are in DC. So I didn't understand the magnitude of that at first, Dustin.
Oh, buddy. Especially the commitment. I don't even know. I mean, first off, AASA is like no joke, but the commitment also, I'm sure it's no light.
Yes, yes, it's not, but it's important because again, I'm not only advocating for our kids, I'm advocating for all the kids in Mississippi and all of the districts. So it's an awesome responsibility, but I love it. I didn't think I would, but I love it.
So, as you think about that, what advice do you have for superintendents? And I'm going to ask two. So, the first one is a superintendent who is not someone who typically volunteers or tries to engage with being on a state board or a national board or something. What's your encouragement for those folks who are like, I just don't have time for it? Because I'm curious how I'm sure it's developed you in ways and grown you in ways that you probably never anticipated doing it.
It's changed my paradigm. Uh, I wanted our district to be competitive in Mississippi, but I wanted to keep up with current trends and be competitive with what's going on across the nation. So, and you don't learn that by staying in your district. There's no growth by staying comfortable and staying in your district. So, the professional relationships, I get a chance to bounce ideas off of other superintendents. There's some superintendents who I'll call and say, how do you handle this? Or, you all are doing this. Let me see how we can fit that in. That camaraderie, the lessons to be learned, because the Vicksburg way isn't the only way. There's some school districts who are doing some very innovative things that our kids can benefit from. And there's an old saying, professional inbreeding does not give rise to genius. So I can stay here and be around our own folks all we wanted to. I'm never going to grow and I won't benefit our kids or community. So you can't afford not to, because as the leader, as the superintendent, I should be the lead learner. Being here every day doesn't make me the lead learner. It's kind of like teachers saying, I want to spend some time at getting my classroom ready. You can decorate the classroom as great as you can, but if you don't learn something about instruction and curriculum and assessment, then you're not going to be, no matter how well that room is dedicated, you're not going to touch those kids and educate them. So you have to get out and see what's going on, develop relationships. And I'm a sponge. I try and soak up all the knowledge I can from my colleagues.
That's awesome. I'm not going to try to stump you with this question, but it's one that I think can be, I don't know, your experiences can really give some insight here. So one of the challenges that I find with my friends who have been superintendents at multiple places or even principals at multiple places is the worrying of your work being dismantled as soon as you leave, right? And that can happen, right? It happens some places. It's not something that you can actually, there's no easy answer. There's no answer that just fixes it all. But a question I do have for you is, as a superintendent, what advice would you have for other superintendents who are coming into a district or in the middle of their leadership who really are hoping to create some legacy? It's not about them, but a lasting impact of something they're implementing. What are the best advice you have to give your legacy a chance to live on. Not about you individually,
Yes,
but the
yes.
work that you're inspired to do.
I would say, so many times initiatives don't fail, people do, because we don't monitor implementation at the same level we monitor results. So if you want something to last
Mm.
and you want it to be sustainable, you have to implement it effectively. And I read Simon Sinek's Infinite Game, where he talks about systems and existential flexibility and how you ingrain things, because the organization should get better after you leave. So I've tried to focus on making the leader in me and all the things that we do a part of a system, to the point where it's so ingrained in the people that the leadership that comes in after me buys into the culture and conforms to the systems, versus this is not Toriano Holloway's work. This is the systems. This is the system that we use. So focus on implementation, because that helps with sustainability, and build systems around the initiatives that you want to implement. Again, we get caught up and we just want to make sure they're effective. Well, the way you make sure they're effective is by implementing them well, and focusing on sustainability. So that's one of the things that, and even given all that, Dustin, I hate to say this, sometimes they'll still tear it down.
Oh, buddy. We talked about it. We talked about it. I've seen it with my friends. I've done all of the things. It's going to happen. Again, the goal is to fight as best as possible, because there are certain things that you would say not to do, right? Coming in and just like throwing everything out, saying it's my way or the highway. Once you're gone, that community will flip that really quickly. And so I'm
Yeah.
just curious what lessons you've learned in it.
Yeah, and I my first year here, which I already believed in leader in me, so the transition for me was easy here. But the other places I've been that first year, I don't do anything but try and gain a lot of historical context about why things were done, when were they done, who did it, what impact did it have, what was the motive behind it. Sometimes I'm reading Dan Heath's Reset, and he talks about what's the goal of the goal. If the goal of the goal isn't right, then you're not going to have effective results. So I try and dig in and learn a lot before you change anything. So many times people in a rush to make their mark. Sometimes your mark can be continuing the greatness that was already in place, or all the good things that were in place, instead of trying to, undo the system. So that first year for me is always about learning the people, building relationships. Those emotional bank account deposits, man, those are important. So that's another piece of wisdom that I've learned. I've tried to pass on.
Well, I believe I understand enough about Vicksburg to know that you've had some community partners also help in y'all's leadership and support of the schools there. What, as you think about a superintendent, right? What advice do you have for superintendents as they look at working with the community, of how to do that well? And what shout outs do you want to give to folks? And I feel like when I ask this question, this is so dangerous. It's kind of like you come up for the Oscars and you don't have your list, so you're going to leave somebody out. So
Yeah.
I will apologize on your behalf if somebody gets left out, because I did not prepare you for this question. But I am curious, what's your advice for building community partnerships? And then secondly, who are the folks that have really shaped Vicksburg down there with you all?
So being out and at events, showing up outside of school is how you get community partners, and going to them, not sitting in the district office waiting on them to come to you. You have to be aggressive with the community and share your vision with them. So that's that. We actively seek community partners. We have 32 signed business partners. And before I got here, they already had 300 or 400 businesses located in Vicksburg. We've got a spreadsheet with all the information on it. And I'm on the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, and we welcome new businesses in. So if it's somebody that I think is going to help the school district, well, hey, I got that one. I'm welcoming.
Lunch, I got this.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a quick funny story, Dustin. I jumped out there one time because it was a manufacturing place. Well, I didn't know they were manufacturing marijuana. So I told please don't tell anybody that the school district superintendent was calling you. But be aggressive and be active when it comes to the community, because you'll need them as a superintendent. It doesn't matter how effective I am. If we don't have the community on board, then we're not going to be very effective. People here, there were a lot of people here who put the process in place before I got here. Christy Kilroy, who's the former public information director, she worked with the Chamber of Commerce, who actually paid for the first few years of Leader in Me to be implemented in the school district.
Wow.
Paid the whole bill for the first few years, and
That's
just
incredible.
recently stopped. So that's how much and Dustin, when I got here, as I went out in the community, the Rotary and Kiwanis and all those social organizations, one of the questions that I got all the time was, we keep the Leader in Me. How's Leader in Me going? So I didn't have a choice, but they knew I was a Leader in Me person. We've had some great principals, Dr. McCann, whose Bovina was a legacy school, Jason Bennett, whose school is a legacy school. We've got a lot of principals. I may leave one or two of them out, but we've got some great principals who believe in the process. My predecessor, Chad Shealy, who helped take this district wide. He did a great job of laying the foundation for us to continue and deepen the work, because we've taken it a step further with our alignment and making sure we're all on the same page. So the school board supports us tremendously, and they believe in the process because they want to know how's Leader in Me going. So there's a lot of folks. I tell them I get undue credit for a lot of things that go right, and take the blame when it goes wrong. Somebody told me a long time ago when I first became a superintendent, I was like, oh, I don't want to take the credit. They say, you better take the credit, because they're sure enough going to blame you for what goes wrong.
Yeah, that's so true. Oh, it's so true. My friends who are in coaching, basketball coaching right now, one of them's not having the best year, and he's feeling the pressure of just having a tough year after a year where he had 20 plus wins. It's crazy how quickly the tide can shift on you. Again, one of the things that's always struck me is that you're incredibly humble spirit, and the people that I know are mutual friends. That would be the one thing of why they said, "Hey, Dustin, you got to know Tori. You're going to love him." Or Dr. Holloway. Sorry, I'll keep doing it.
No, that's good.
So this question is going to be funny asking a man as humble as you are, but I do mean it. So when you think about your dedicated career to the shaping the future of education, right? Not just kids, but education. When you think about your legacy specifically, what do you hope people will say about the impact you've made? Like, you've gone to different places, you've impacted the whole state, you've been there statewide, who knows nationally what you've been doing. Like, what do you hope people say about, just the legacy and the impact that you've left?
Man, I hope people remember that every day, every minute, every decision, everything I did was always about the kids. And how can we make things better for kids? And then the other part of it was that I valued people. Simon Sinek says that we're not responsible for the results. We're responsible for the people who are responsible for the results. And I value people. That's why it inspires my little work. So I hope when it's done that, everybody knows it was about the kids, and that I've inspired a lot of kids and adults across the state of Mississippi. And if I'm gone and people say my name and other folks smile, I'm good.
Well, I when I saw you come up as had it accepted and we were going to be talking today, I did smile. So that's something you can accomplish probably every time with anybody who has any sort of significant amount of time with you. Yeah. I'll say my last question for the end. So let's do the rapid fire real quick.
Okay. All right.
I got you prepped. What's a habit, again, not the 7 habits, but what's a habit or discipline that you utilize on a daily or weekly basis to be the best leader or best version of yourself that you can be?
Oh, when I was in Quitman, Dustin, it might have been when we talked, I was reading the 5 choices. That 30-10 rule for me is awesome.
So explain it for folks, just because I love it, but I'd love to hear you break it down.
Okay. So I spend 30 minutes on my calendar one day a week, and whether it's a Sunday or Wednesday or some point, and then I open and close a day with my calendar, because I have adult ADHD, Dustin, and I can chase rabbits with the best of folks. So that has helped me stay organized, and I'm a lot more effective when I have my assistant bought me the five choices calendar, and it was outdated. It didn't start till January. Excuse me. I was lost, man, from from October to January. I was like, what do I do? What that's my habit. I try to keep that 30-10 rule.
It's awesome. I think that was one thing that stuck with me when I first joined here. I've been here 13, I guess I'm going on 14 years, and asking, Dr. Covey and the people around him what was his favorite habit, it was always the daily and weekly victories, right? So how do you celebrate? So for him, it was planning, setting aside a time. So 30-10 is just another way to say it. If that sounds too numbers focused for folks, it's setting aside a time aside so that you are focused on what does your week look like and going to win the week for the roles that you have. And then each day, making sure that next day you're going to go live it out versus be in reactive state all day. So that's awesome. That's a really good answer, sir. All right. I'm excited for this next answer. What is a book that you've either read lately or that you've read in your career? And you can cheat because you've already dropped like 3 different books. So if you need,
Okay.
if I'm putting you in a bind by just saying one book, I won't do that. You can have 2 or 3 if you want, but just something that you say, future leaders, current leaders, you guys got to go read this because it's going to change the way you operate.
Wow. I tell you one that I go and speak to prospective superintendents every year. One that I share with them are the 8 Paradoxes of Great Leadership by Tim Elmore. And what he talks about is it's okay to be confident, but you need to balance it with humility. And it's about finding that sweet spot in the middle, because we do have polarities in our personalities, and there's nothing wrong with that. And one of my favorite quotes from Dustin, he said, "There's nothing more common than high potential people who allow their emotional deficits to sabotage their career." And what I see a lot of is people have a lot of technical skills, but they can't lead people. And that's why I recommend that book to a lot of folks, because at the end of the day, when you get to this level, it's about leadership. It's not about what I can do. I can complete a checklist with the best of them. But if I can't inspire people, if I can't motivate people and get things done through and with people, then I'm not leading. I'm taking a walk.
That's great. All right. I'm super curious about this next one. As I give this preface every time, these kids behind me are very into baseball because we live in St. Louis. I grew up in Tallahassee, Florida, so college football is my bag.
Yes.
The Major League Baseball is something I've had to grow into with my wife and my boys, but they are always like my son. This weekend, my oldest son is already talking to me. So, Dad, I've narrowed it down. I was like, narrowed what down? I have 3 songs that I think could be good for my walk-up song.
Oh, yeah.
One of them is Squabble Up, if you're wondering what kind of house we run here. It was like, why do you know that? And what are you talking about? So that's a whole other parenting thing we got to figure out. But I am curious in your world, and it can rotate, but what would your walk-up song be right now?
I could give a couple, but the first one that that I would go to is the OJ's "Got to Give the People." Got to give the people
Ah,
what they want.
yes. I haven't had an OJ's reference on here. That's great. The only
Yeah.
other one that surprised me was we had Stephen M.R. Covey, and it ended up going from a rapid fire question to a like 15-minute conversation because he dropped Coldplay. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So tell
Mm,
me more. He goes, oh, I love Coldplay. He's seen him like 100 times. I don't know if it's that many, but like in my
wow.
head, I have like picture Stephen M.R. traveling the world, doing these lectures, and then traveling the world quickly to get to wherever Coldplay is next. I'm not
Yeah.
sure that's actually how it goes, but that's where my head is. But the OJs, I like
That
it.
doesn't match up for me. Me seeing him speak and
I
all of
agree.
that.
I agree. That's what I'm gonna say. Like a lot of them, like there were bright colors. So I do want to see what he wear. As I have so many
Yeah.
questions, but anyways, OJ's. I'm in. What's the song again? Sorry, before I
Got to
forget.
give the people.
Yeah, all right, I'm in. All right, last one. And this is a question that I'll just end with. As people are, I mean, obviously, this has been awesome, Tori. As people are trying to figure out more about your signing day, the awesome things you guys are doing with your community, and the CT offerings that you have, how can people look into everything that's happening in the Vicksburg Warren School District? What's the easiest way to?
So If they go to our website, vwsd.org, on the right-hand side of it, we have our school tour dates listed. If you get on our website, we post, our Facebook page, we continuously post things that are going on, upcoming events and things like that. Those are the two easiest ways. And you can always call. As long as you're not a salesperson, I'll talk to anybody. So you can call the school district office and ask for me or the deputy or associate superintendent, and we'll be glad. I want the things that we do here to benefit kids outside of Vicksburg, Mississippi. So we love hosting people, and we love sharing what we do, and we also love stealing ideas. So if you're doing something great that I didn't talk about, let us know. We'll come see it.
Yeah, beg, borrow, and steal is my favorite educators always knew how to do, which is awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Dr. Holloway, Tori, as I prefer to call you, because I've walked away from Dr. Holloway about 10 different times in this interview. This was awesome, man. This was a gift to my soul. And I mean that as deeply as I can mean that. This was just awesome. Appreciate you making time for us. And thanks for just not changing. And in spite of your circumstances, just staying focused on the main thing.
Yes. I recently told our directors and principals, Dustin, if I could share this with you going out, I said, we cannot allow the things that don't make a difference to make a difference.
Mm.
And that's where we keep it at right now. So the main
That's
thing is
awesome.
the main thing. So I appreciate this opportunity, man. It's great to see you and catch up with you again. You take care of them handsome boys back there. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
It's funny as you said that. I had, again, as we said, between the hour, I have announced it to the whole family, stuck home for like, there's 1 hour, don't come anywhere near this world.
Yeah.
So beginning of the hour, everybody pops up, then they go down. Just a second ago, as I'm trying to finish, that's why I got off track for one of the conversations. I have my 8-year-old, this little guy here, crawling by me to grab his iPad because he really needed it with 7 minutes, 8 minutes to go before the bell's up. Like I have no idea. I have no idea. I can't.
He got a video of the sledding out there, man. He got
this. Yeah, it is something. So this was awesome. Thank you for making it so easy. And I actually will come to Vicksburg. So I will let you know when I can come down there. I'll try to come. I talked about trying to get down there for your big day of inviting visitors in. I just don't know in terms of my travel schedule if I'll be able to make it work, but I'll definitely come down and spend some time with you.
Okay. Gotcha. You come on, I'm gonna take you to a couple of good places to eat, and we'll have a good time for sure.
Sounds great. That would be a huge blessing. Well, thanks, Tori. I appreciate you, man.
All right, Dustin. Good to see you again, man. Take care of those boys.
All right, man. We'll do.